talk. So we still have one more topic of the day, and this was a very trending topic this week. So Gianni is going to tell us about Jussie Smollett or Juicy Smollett. Juicy Smollett. What we
Jussie
got?
Smollet.
Woo! Ooh, the French accent. You and Rob can give us the French version of it. What we got, Gianni? What happened this week?
Okay. Yes.
We've been
So
waiting
Liz,
3 years
after
for this. We've
two
been waiting
days,
3 years for this.
it has been since 2019, you're right. So after 2 days of deliberating, a verdict has finally been reached in the case against actor Jussie Smollett. He was found guilty on 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct. He was acquitted on 1 count of felony disorderly conduct and was facing 6 felonies for disorderly conduct and making a false police report. Prosecutors claimed he staged an anti-gay racist attack on himself in January 2019, and since then he has been maintaining his innocence. The prosecutors claimed Jussie actually paid the Osandalto brothers to fake beat him up, but the defense says the men really did attack him, while acknowledging Jussie knew the brothers and had a sexual relationship with one of them. So, everybody, what are your thoughts? Do you believe Jussie is guilty of what? And also, why was this case such a big deal?
I saw a meme on Facebook. So I saw a meme on Facebook. Someone said, "Jussie Smollett, the only American to scam a couple of Nigerians." And I
Yeah,
thought
I
that
saw
was
that too. I saw that too.
look, you know, I, I don't believe that the attack happened. But that's just me. I,
No, it's not
I'm
just
not
you.
surprised
It's
that
not
he's
just you. Not just you.
I'm not
A lot of
surprised that
people.
he has been found guilty. I can't remember what the sentence was,
No
but
sentencing
I
yet. I
also
don't think.
No
no sentencing
sentence
yet.
yet.
Yeah, no sentencing
I'm
yet.
very curious. I'm very curious to see what the sentencing would be. And I can't help but to think, he was found guilty of faking an attack on himself. Meanwhile, a couple other high profile cases that were in the news, one kid actually killed 2 people and found not guilty. It's just, it's like what our senator used to say. They should go, you know, but
Things that make you
look,
go, hmm.
yeah, but look, you shouldn't. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is that this guy, um, this is you can't do this. You can't do this. And as a double minority, he should know better. Um,
Mm.
you can't you can't go around making these kind of claims and then they be false because guess what? You represent in the eyes of people who don't know any better. You represent all black people and you represent all gay people and it's something that bigots will point and say, well, Jussie Smollett, his attack was fake, so why should I believe you?
That's what Dave Chappelle said.
How
Rob,
about you,
what you
Liz?
got?
Oh, or Rob.
Well,
Let Rob go
so
first because I'm gonna be long winded.
so I do believe that the attack took place because a doctor did testify that he sustained injuries. Now, whether or not that attack was staged is, well, I mean, the jury came to a verdict. But yeah, in my opinion, staging a fake hate crime is about as low as you can get because it makes it so much more difficult for real victims of hate crimes to come forward after something like this. It's very disheartening to see that kind of behavior. According to what I've read, it definitely seems like he is guilty of what's happening because the only defense that he has, like they poked holes through his entire story, and the only thing he had was to point back and say, "Well, no, these two guys are lying. These two guys are lying." So it's turned into a he said kind of thing. But yeah, it's just a shitty thing all around. And even from the get go, the story just seemed weird. So now to see this in the denouement doesn't really surprise
I think, if this was just your regular Juicy on the street, from around the way, I wouldn't be as outraged. But here is a young man who had a platform, who is a celebrity, who is a public figure, who at the time this happened was on a very popular show. So he, made a difference. People looked to him for advice, they looked to him for representation, for a lot of things. And I just didn't appreciate the fact that, and I do believe that he lied about this, that there wasn't a staged attack, isn't an attack. It's an act in a play, if you will. And
Mm.
these were guys that he knew. He got on the stand and admitted that he had a physical intimate relationship with one of these guys. And I'm just like, for what? For what? The wasted resources, the wasted emotion, it just made absolutely no sense. And he had time to come back from this because, like Gianni said, this initially happened 3 years ago. He had time to do a mea culpa and come back from this and apologize and beg for forgiveness. Instead of that, he got on TV talking about he was the gay Tupac and he was a martyr and all of these other things. And it's just like, no, no, no. So now I am going to say, you need to be charged and arrested. And in terms of like, what happens to other people for more serious charges, I mean, this is a different state. This is in Chicago, Illinois, not in Kenosha, not in any other. This was in Chicago, Illinois. And they tried their best because initially they didn't want to take this to trial, but he kept on keeping on. And so they were like, okay, we're going to do this. And so there was just no point. I don't understand what his end game was for this. And I get that his family, because he comes from a huge family, a very talented family, a very beautiful family. They're backing him. That's fine. But on the flip side, I'm punching my brother in the throat behind the scenes. Like, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit. So just come. Like, there have been worse characters in the history of man who have done wrong and who have made an apology and have come back and been very successful. Now he's facing possible jail time. He could be
Yeah.
bankrupt from fines and from paying lawyer. Like, this was not the way to go. This was not the way to go at all. And it put a very, very negative mark on the LGBTQ community because, like Micah said, no one's going to believe now. No one's going to believe a story now. And these were the two young men, the two brothers that were involved. Jussie initially said that he was attacked by two white guys in MAGA caps. No, it was these two motherfuckers. It was these two guys that he knew. That he knew. It was just way too much. It was way too much. Way too much.
I feel in Jussie's defense, I feel that maybe to save face or to try to gain some of his reputation back, maybe that's why he kept prolonging the trial and trying to reclaim his innocence because um, I think he mentioned it says law enforcement were trying to sell an agenda by only highlighting certain aspects of the case to paint a picture, which we already know, like not law enforcement, but the media does. But it was like they were claiming him to not be a victim of anything at all. I don't know if Rob said it or Micah, but I don't think he is. I think he's a victim of something. I just don't know what it is because it's all of this
He's a
has been
victim.
fueled with weirdness and
He's a
lies.
victim of himself.
I was gonna Rob get out of. I was gonna say it. He's a victim of himself. He's a victim of himself. No one else conjured this up. He's a victim of himself. And again, I don't know
Mhm.
why. Like, he was on it, but like, was he trying to jockey for more money on his show?
He
Was
was
this?
making a lot of money at the time, and his job and
But he was.
Empire, because that was one of the claims, and Empire even said that they weren't, he wasn't vouching for any more money.
But then
So
that just goes to an even warped mind. Like, what were you thinking? What was your
And that
agenda here?
that's funny because Jacqueline Robinson in our audience feedback says
we were
we
rooting
were
for
rooting
you.
for you, Juicy. What in the world were you thinking? Mike Winter says, I still don't understand why he ruined his upcoming music tour, that he had decent ticket sales.
Nobody would do
Shaking
that.
my head.
That's
Olivia
what I'm
says, you
saying.
don't represent me. Daria Winter
You
says he
don't
seems to
represent me
have some
either,
issues
though.
that need to be addressed with much counseling. And then
And
Neo's
that's
asking
what
about
we hope.
sentencing.
And we would hope that, the family, they're standing behind him throughout all of this, which they should. But are we addressing these other issues that may be at play here? So we can talk about this more in the after show. Looks like we're going to have a very meaty after show today. But what do you guys think about this? Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? Ooh,
I don't
child, the
know
devil
what.
is a liar.
And
The devil is a liar.
I mean, there has to be
Liar,
a
liar.
lot of truth somewhere.
The truth is that he was a liar. That's the truth. That he was
Look,
lying. That he was
I
lying.
hope
I
I
mean, the
hope
truth is
that
in the reveal.
I hope that his sentencing is appropriate. I hope that this
Yeah.
dude gets, whatever hell. I'm not saying this guy, I'm not saying he needs to have the book thrown at him. But at the same time, like, the sentence should be appropriate. Like, you need to be taught not to do this again.
and
Especially
others
with your
need to be taught
celebrity.
by your example not to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with your celebrity. So again, we're going to talk about this,
Right.
maybe talk about this a little bit more in the after show. Guys, thank you so much for your spirited discussion. We are about to head into the Truth Lies Shenanigans game show, where